Okay, now we're going to look at the Object Modifier stack. That list will appear in here. This list in here will show us the base object and then all of the modifiers that we're piling on top of the object to get the end result. We can pile more than one modifier on at a time. And what this allows us to do would be to, say, bend this box and twist it and taper it all at the same time. Let's take a look at the modifier stack. Firstly, we have to apply a modifier. So I'm just going to pop down this list and go and find the bend modifier, that being a very basic modifier. So here's the bend modifier. And if we look in the parameters for the bend modifier, we can see that they're very straightforward parameters. We can bend the object over a certain axis, a certain angle, certain direction, so on. Very basic. And we've seen very similar controls in the space warp bend modifier. So let's take a look at the stack. What we've got here is, firstly, we've got the modifier itself. We've got the on-off icon for that modifier, so whether to apply the modifier or not. Then we've got the sub-list controls for the modifier. So if I pop down the sub-list, we can see we can control the gizmo, which is the aperture or the icon that controls that bend modifier, and the center, which would be the icon, the XYZ icon. So we can control the location of those two particular sub-items of bend. Okay, that brings me to the controls for the modify stack. We have delete modifier or remove modifier from the stack. So we highlight the modifier we want to remove, then we delete it. We have the show end result toggle. And what this does is allows us to see what's happening as we're doing it. Untick that. Again, my machine's fast enough, it'll show it. And then we've got the pin stack, and what that'll do is it'll lock that particular stack so that I can work on something else, come back and I can unpin it for further use. Now I was saying that I can apply multiple modifiers at any one time. So I'm just going to go and apply a taper modifier to this at the same time as the bend modifier. So I drop my taper modifier on, and here we go, I can taper the object. As you can see, it's not real flash, it's not really doing what I'd hoped it would do. So if that's the case, I can move the stack around by dragging and dropping. I can change the bend, and here you can see that the taper is tapering the box before I bend it, and when it was the other way around it was tapering the box after it was bent. And again, I can control individual controls within the sub-object modifier. So it gives you a reasonable amount of control and a reasonable amount of ability to manipulate the shapes into any form you need. And of course, modifiers or even sub-object modifiers can be animated, and we will probably get into modifier animation when we start to talk about animation techniques.